I want to surprise my family and make some cinnamon rolls today. And I am making cocoa cinnamon rolls. I'm playing with the recipe. I've done this many times, made this recipe and perfected my own recipe. So what I'm going to start with, you start with 2 cups, I'm doubling this batch. 2 cups of hot water. And you want 4 tablespoons, because I'm doubling the recipe, of non-fat milk. I'm using rice milk powder. It's a vanilla rice milk powder. I want 2 eggs. So I'm going to take in my coffee grinder some flax seeds, and I'm going to grind these. Into a meal. And this is going to be my 2 eggs. You could use egg replacer, and I've used that in this recipe many times, but I really like the flaxseed. It gives more fiber and more omega-3 into your recipe, and it's not as expensive, and it doesn't alter the flavor at all. So you're going to let this sit. It's going to turn into kind of a gel like an egg. You will see. So we're set my egg aside, and then I need 5 tablespoons of sugar. I'm using organic, pure, evaporated cane sugar. And 2 teaspoons of salt. You can cut back on the salt if you want. I'm using Himalayan pink salt. And then I need 2 ounces of melted margarine. I'm using Earth Balance. And then I am going to take and add my flour. Here I have 1½ cups of white flour and 1 cup of whole wheat pastry flour. When anything calls for white flour, I always like to use, depending on what it is, either half and half of wheat. I put wheat in it. Some recipes I can go all wheat, or I'll put whole wheat pastry flour and put half and half, or I usually don't do all wheat white flour. I don't like to use a lot of white flour. These do fine with just whole wheat pastry flour also. So you just stir it up. And then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of instant yeast. And then I'm just going to let this sit for probably about 10 minutes. And I've let this sit for about 10 minutes. And I've also let my eggs sit, and you can see it's gotten really thick. So I'm going to add that to my batter. That's my flaxseed gel. That's what they call it, flaxseed gel. And I'm starting with, it might take just a little bit more, 1 cup of white flour and then 1½ cups of whole wheat pastry flour. And I'm just going to put it all in and just start stirring. You want to get it to where it's not sticking to the sides of the bowl anymore. Go slow. If you go fast, it's going to go everywhere. So you kind of have to go slow and keep scraping the edges. Turn your bowl around. If you have a mixer, it'd work great in a mixer. I like to do it by hand, so. And as you see, as you just go, keep going slow, it just automatically gets mixed completely. And you can go a little faster. And as you can see, it's real goopy. You definitely need more flour. There's no way you can roll this like this. You need it to where it's not sticking anymore. So I have some white flour, and I'm just going to add, I'm adding not quite a ½ cup. Sometimes that might be too much, so you have to just eyeball it for yourself. I'm adding a little bit more flour. It's still real sticky. And at one point I'll get my hands in there and start stirring it, but it's still stirrable with a spoon. And you can see it's just sticking to the spoon still. It's almost ready to get my hands in, I can tell. I just don't like to get my hands all gloopy. A little bit more. Just start folding it over, and it'll eventually, you'll be able to tell that it's done. It'll quit sticking to you. That's enough flour. I can tell it's not sticking to my hands anymore. My hands were clean when I started too. I'm like a clean fanatic. I wash my hands so many times when I'm cooking. After I touch anything, I wash my hands again. I really like to keep my hands clean. So you can see that's a nice ball. It's not sticking anymore to my hands. So it's ready to start rolling out. And I put flour out on my counter, and now I'm ready to put my dough out. And I don't use a rolling pin, I just stretch it. I keep stretching it out. It works better, that's how I like to do it. It makes nice big fat cinnamon rolls too. Just kind of smash it over and it'll get bigger. And you have a large rectangle. And that's good right there. I could probably even do them thinner if I wanted. I'd make gigantic ones. Okay, so, and then I'm going to take my earth balance. I have 5 ounces of earth balance. I didn't measure it. I just always throw it in a cup, so I don't know what I have. I might not even use all of this earth balance. I'm just going to spread it on with a spatula. I've had this sitting out for a while also, otherwise it'd be impossible. And if you're in a hurry and you try to melt the earth balance, it will just like roll all over the place, melted margarine on these. So it's better if you have it, just try to have it room temperature or out for at least a half an hour, and it'll spread fine. I make sure the ends have it too, because nobody wants to eat the ends, because there's nothing usually, not a lot of stuff on them. They're usually dry, so I make sure I put things on my ends. So I have a little bit left, so there is my earth balance. Right here I have a cup of sugar, and to this I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of cocoa and 4 teaspoons of cinnamon. And I'm going to stir this up real good. You could add walnuts to this if you wanted. You could add a little bit of sucanat and take away some of the sugar. You don't have to add as much sugar. It's just however you want them. It's pretty easy to just replace or trade, or don't put in the cocoa if you just want cinnamon. So it's stirred up real good. Now you're just gonna sprinkle it all over your cinnamon rolls. Just evenly sprinkle it out. Now you're just gonna take and start rolling up your cinnamon roll. Start rolling it, just very patiently. They're pretty easy to roll up. Kind of smash the ends as you go. And there you have a big long line of cinnamon rolls. And you have a mess right here. Okay. And how I like to cut my cinnamon rolls. I use dental floss and cinnamon, of course. You don't have to use cinnamon, that's just what I had. This was just what I grabbed one day. Tear off a piece. And I have my 13 by 9 pan sitting here, if you can see it. Right here. And you're going to take and just go up under your cinnamon roll. And I'm going to cut them about maybe 1.5 to 2 inches. And start putting them on my so just go run it under there and just cross it. You can do it with a knife too. I do it with a knife too. It just depends on what I grab. So just keep cutting until you're almost done, or until you are done, not almost. And I can fit 2 more on there, so I'll just cut this one in half. And the ends, I like to add a little bit more of the cinnamon powder to the ends for sure. So I'm just going to let these sit in a warm place for about an hour, and then we will be back. First of all, I'm going to put my oven on 350. Start up my oven, and then, okay, my oven is reheated now, and it's been a few minutes and they're ready to go in the oven. I'm making my glaze while the cinnamon rolls are in the oven, and they'll be in there for 20 to 25 minutes at 350. And I take 1 cup of powdered sugar, a half a teaspoon of vanilla, and 1 to 2 tablespoons of any kind of milk of your choice. And just stir that up. Stir it slow, otherwise it'll go flying. Powdered sugar seems to like to go flying. Just stir this up. And just get the clumps out of it. And there's your sauce for after your cinnamon rolls cool. And I hope you enjoy them. Make them soon. If you think about it, give me a comment how you liked them. My family loves these. They will be very excited when they come home and see cinnamon rolls. Okay, have a good day. Bye-bye.